we're going to cover, inshallah, an extremely beautiful surah, Surah al-Balad. Maybe some of your favorites, inshallah. And this was actually a combo surah. I read Surah al-Balad and Surah al-Nasr. They kind of relate together on a particular topic. Inshallah, we will cover maybe Surah al-Nasr later on. So let's start today with Surah al-Balad. Unfortunately, I can't really break this apart into two khatirahs. We will have to do one, so we'll go quickly as what's beneficial. Inshallah, bismillah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا أقسم بهذا البلد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by this city. Everybody agrees that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about Makkah. Okay. How do you know that? Is because هذا البلد means this city. So who is the Quran revealed to? It is to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks to Rasulullah, obviously he's going to say this city. So the audience is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So we know that he's in this city, which is Makkah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by the city. And we have to understand, as we have learned probably in the khatirahs that we've done, whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by something, it is something magnificent. There's something amazing. There's something miraculous about something. Obviously, we can talk for hours about the importance of Makkah and how it's the al-Qura, you would say the center of the world, the main city of the whole world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called it Qura. It's often translated as mother of all cities. That's really a bad translation. It just means like the central city of all cities. Okay, but we'll move on. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by another thing. No, he does not swear. He says, وَأَنْتَ حِلٌّ بِهَذَا الْبَلَدِ. And he says, you are halal in this city. Very interesting. We'll come back to that, inshallah. Next time, maybe tomorrow, inshallah, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives me life, we're going to cover this portion. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mean that you are halal in this city? It's an amazing thing that we'll talk about, inshallah, tomorrow. وَوَالِدٍ وَمَا وَلَدٍ. And this is the second oath Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes, and by the parent and the child that parent gave birth to. A couple of opinions, 3 opinions really, 2 opinions. Let's just keep it at 2 opinions. It is Adam alayhi salam and all his children, which is us. It could be Ibrahim alayhi salam in another opinion, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was born from the lineage of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Regardless, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the miraculous nature of generations and the creation of human beings and the creation of generations and how they come again and again. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by 2 of these things to make a point. What point is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala making? لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. That we have created man. The man was created in kabad, in anguish. Kibda means liver, wrong side, liver. Anything that hurts you inside, when you're in anguish and how your insides hurt, that's what kabad means. So the human being is created in anguish, which means they're constantly in trial, they're constantly struggling and toiling in this life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says this is how the human being is created. To be created to be in this anguish all the time. Always worried about food, always worried about the dollar the next day, etc., etc., etc. So this could be used generally. This could also, more appropriately, this is used in a negative sense. That what the human being is worried about and anguished about all the time is actually the wrong things. They are expending their time toward the wrong things, because the following ayat explain, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانَ أَلَّنْ يَقْدِرَ عَلَيْهِ أَحَدٍ. Does the human being think that no one has control over him? Meaning, will he not be accountable for his bad actions? Or if he is trying hard and trying to be patient or maybe doing good things, is someone not going to come and protect him? أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانَ أَلَّنْ يَقْدِرَ عَلَيْهِ أَحَدٌ. And then in a negative sense, the next ayah, يَقُولُ أَهْلَكْتُ مَالًا لُبَدًا. He says, the man says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the human being says, أَهْلَكْتُ مَالًا لُبَدًا. I have been destroyed by spending so much money. I've spent so much money. Meaning, I've spent so much money in trying to get what I want, trying to do the wrong thing. I've spent so much. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَيَحْسَبُ أَن لَمْ يَرَهُ أَحَدٌ. Does he think that nobody's watching him? Nobody's watching him? Meaning, nobody's watching what he's doing in the wrong? أَلَمْ نَجْعَلْ لَهُ عَيْنَيْنِ. Haven't we given him 2 eyes to see? وَلِسَانًا وَشَفَتَيْنِ. And we've given him a tongue and 2 lips. We've given him speech, power of speech. وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. And we have guided him to 2 paths. 2 paths. Najd means 2 stars. You know, people used to look at stars for directions. So it's 2 directions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, haven't we given him 2 directions? What are these 2 directions? So a little side tangent. In the Quran, whenever you want tafsir of an ayah, you look in the Quran for the explanation of the Quran itself. So here, what are those 2 directions? It's described in Surat al-Insan, which we have covered partially, but not this portion. Inshallah, we'll do it soon. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِمَّا شَاكِرًا. Whether he's thankful even once. Because if you're thankful even once, you're shakir. إِمَّا كُفُورًا. Or whether you are constantly ungrateful, constantly disbelieving, constantly not worrying about the akhirah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us those 2 directions. So going back to Surah al-Balad, وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. And we guided him to these 2 directions. فَلَا اقْتَحَمَ الْعَقَبَةِ. Then he has not, though, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, he has not surpassed aqabah. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْعَقَبَةِ. And what do you know this aqabah is? So aqabah means a hill. So a hill that you would climb. Meaning a difficult path. A very, very difficult path. This life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, is not just this life is a difficult path. The difficult path is, as we shall see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and what do you know this difficult path is? فَكُّ رَقَبَةٍ. It is freeing a slave. Freeing a slave back then was big money, like huge amounts of dollars, huge amounts of dinars and dirhams you had to spend. You have to have a fortune to be able to pay for a slave. That's how expensive slave trade was. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, an example of surpassing and doing something extremely difficult, basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, this is what human beings should be doing. Freeing a slave. فَكُّ رَقَبَةٍ. أَوْ طَعَامٍ. Or feeding people. When? Feed يَوْمٍ ذِي مَسْغَبَةٍ. A day that is full of distress. Meaning, you yourself are hungry. There is a famine. And instead of feeding yourself, you're feeding others. You're giving others water. You're doing it'am. Not just it'am. Fi yawmin dhi masqaba. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says it's a difficult path, right? Freeing a slave is difficult. Feeding somebody else when you yourself are hungry is extremely difficult. Yatiman dha maqraba. And feeding the yatim who is your relative. Somebody near. Meaning prioritize the orphan, and not only just any orphan, prioritize the orphan within your family. أو مسكينا ذا متربة. Or a needy person who is dusty, meaning he is trapped, he is really in distress. A needy person who is in extreme distress, helping the needy. This is aqabah. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying the iqtiham, the climbing of this aqabah. This is what you need to do. Free a slave, feed people even when you're hungry, feed the poor, take care of the orphans, and take care of your own family first. ثُمَّ كَانَ مِنَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. And the rest of the believers after that. So these are the priorities. Free the slave, right? And so on and so forth until you feed the miskeen. Then the rest of the believers, وَتَوَكَّلْ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. And then you advise each other constantly to be patient. Just like Surah Al-Asr, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ, right? Here again, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. And you counsel each other, advise each other on patience. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْمَرْحَمَةِ. And you advise each other to be compassionate with each other, to show mercy to each other, to show raham to each other. Marhama. أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ. Those who do these things are the ones that are treading that path and going up that aqabah, going up that mountain, going up that hill. Those are the ones that will be on the right-hand side. And we already know what that means, being on the right-hand side. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among them. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِآيَاتِنَا هُمْ أَصْحَابُ الْمَشْأَمَةِ. And those who deny our ayat are the people of the left. عَلَيْهِمْ نَارٌ مُؤْصَدَةٌ. Upon them will be a fire that will entrap them, that will be over them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillah.